these things called foodborne illnesses, right?
Also, guess at the heavy, they had like need CPR and stuff like that too. So
Absolutely. Law. Right. Is that important? Absolutely. You know how many people try to sue Disney every year? Thousands. Okay, so all of these things down below here are the arts and sciences that you need to help support the tourism industry. Economics. I remember people telling me, or I can remember saying, I'll never need economics. Well, guess what? My last job, that's all I did was supply and demand curves all day long. And I got paid pretty well for it. Okay? So you understand now what the roots of the tree are. They support the trunk, which is tourism, which branches out into the hospitality industry. Is that a pretty good way of explaining it? Good. All right. So let's talk about tourism and why it's important, or what we should call the characteristics of tourism. One of the characteristics is that it's a year-round economic driver. And I was born and raised in Orlando, and I can remember in the 70s and the 80s, people started to complain because Disney was there. I know. People were complaining that Disney was in their backyard. And one of the complaints they had was, yeah, it's pretty cool, and it's a neat industry, but, you know, it's seasonal. Because the tourists come in the summertime, and then it slows down, and then picks up and slows down. It's not steady. And that's actually a misnomer. It's incorrect.
yeah.
Tourism is year-round. And when we talk about tourism, we even talk about business travel. Those are tourists, technically. Even though the function that they travel for is different than what we traditionally think of tourists as, they are still tourists. Okay? So I can prove my point here. Tourism is not a seasonal industry. What day does the airport close?
Never.
Never. It's like a hotel, right?
Never.
You can get flights out on Christmas or on New Year's Eve or whatever because people are constantly traveling year-round. It's not seasonal. Now, there are shifts in demand. It gets higher. Let's say, for example, in Vail, Colorado, around ski season, very hard to get a room. When there's no snow on the ground, it's a lot easier. But there are still people that travel to Vail, Colorado. I'm one of them. I've traveled to Vail, Colorado twice, and it's never been for snow skiing. I've never seen snow on the ground. You guys from Vail?
I've been there.
We go to Colorado a lot.
Okay. Yeah, it's beautiful. Vail is a beautiful place to visit, right? And there doesn't have to be snow on the ground. 11.7% of the world's GDP makes it the world's largest industry. And you say again, and we kind of had this discussion the other day, right? You say, well, Professor Smith, is it really the world's largest industry? Absolutely. When you start to think about airlines, all of the restaurants and food service locations out there, all of the hotels, and the list goes on and on and on. And is it going to increase or decrease? Increase. I mean, you drive around Columbia and, oh, there's a new restaurant there. Or, oh, they're building a hotel over there. It's going up. And it's going to continue to increase. Is that good news for you if you're a major?
Great.
It's great news. Absolutely. Why? Jobs. Jobs. 10% of the global workforce, and it supports over 5.5 million jobs, creates 5.5 million, an average of 5.5 million jobs a year. Again, increasing. That's a great reason to be a hospitality and tourism major because, hey, jobs are out there. Nothing against computer programmers. My son's a technology guy, but computer programming, jobs increasing or decreasing? Decreasing. Why?
Because one guy can do it all.
Well, yeah, one guy who pushes the on button to a computer. Computers are starting to program themselves right now. the leading producer of tax revenue. This is an interesting one. Anybody here really like paying taxes so much that they say, I want to pay more taxes? Not me, I'm doing this in irony. I definitely don't want to pay more taxes. I don't mind paying taxes, I just want to pay my fair share. The hospitality industry is the leading tax producer. And I'll use this as an example. Anybody spend the night in a hotel in Charleston? Okay. If it's, let's say you get a room for $200 a night, and you go to check out, you pay $200?
No.
No.
You gotta pay beforehand.
Well, technically no. You pay upon checkout. They put a hold on your credit card.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Let you pay basically.
Hey, you're
If you
responsible.
cancel it, you're still gonna get charged like $180.
Yeah, but they don't charge it until after you check out. Now, when you check out, it's a $200 room. Do they charge you $200?
No, because there's any sales.
What's on top of that?
And sales.
Sales tax and this thing called lodging tax. And anybody work in a hotel in Charleston? Would anybody know what the lodging tax is?
That we finished. They'll charge you 6%.
No, it's way more than that. It's like 12.5% just for the lodging tax. Well, what's the sales tax in Charleston?
Isn't that 8% in South Carolina?
That I don't know. Where's my Charleston? Who lives in Charleston?
I live in Charleston, I have no clue what the sales tax.
I think statewide is 8%.
If it's close to Myrtle Beach, it's 11%.
11%? Wow. So 11% plus a 17.5%, 27.5% in taxes. So that's like $50 in taxes on a $200 room. Now, good or bad? Well, it depends on how you look at it. But there's, again, basic economics. The more someone else pays of the taxes, what? The less that you pay. Does that make sense? Someone pays more, you pay less. And so, my father, again, kind of the cranky old man, he used to get mad when we would drive in traffic and he would say, oh, those damn tourists, they clog up the roads and they don't know where they're going. He would complain about them and I would lecture him. I said, look, Dad, I know you don't like paying taxes, okay? And they're paying way more taxes visiting here than you would. And so, you shouldn't curse at the tourists. You should thank them. In fact, you should give them a big hug and a kiss and say, thank you for coming down here, spending your money, paying my taxes, and then leaving. Right?
I disagree with that.
Why? Who disagrees? Why?
I live on 33rd Street in Virginia Beach, and from 1st to 20th Street, it's just like mayhem during the summer. Can't drive anywhere, there's shootings, I just don't agree with that.
Well, let me give you the alternative. If there were no tourism in Virginia Beach, how many people would lose their jobs?
My dad.
So do you want tourism?
It's bad.
Hey, we're going to talk about the negative sides of tourism, but trust me when I say to you, you'd rather have tourism with some of the negative effects than no jobs at all. Has anybody come from a town where they lost a major industry? Well, what just happened this month with the nuclear power plant?
Just going on SCE&G.
Do you think there's a bunch of people that are real happy right now there's no nuclear power plant? They're all filing in line right now to collect unemployment.
Yeah, and they were supposed to open a new one too. They canceled that.
So yeah, tourism brings some problems with it, but you got to manage the problems. Trust me, there are tons of locations out there that would love to have Virginia Beach's problems. Too much business. Oh my gosh, we got too many people coming trying to spend money with us. Yeah, there are problems. Hey, trust me, I know.
Too many murders is what I'm saying. It's not chill.
Well, yeah. Anybody get murdered in Colombia lately?
No. Yes.
Friday last night.
So there are problems, we'll talk about them. But trust me, having people on unemployment, you think times are bad when there's too many people there?
Yeah.
How many murders and robberies are there when no one has jobs? A lot. So there you go. All right. 8% of jobs worldwide depend on the industry. And here's the biggest thing, and I love this story, how tourism changes the world. You probably say, Professor Smith, I bet you have an interesting story about this. And I absolutely do. Now, you guys are too young to remember when the Soviet Union was the Soviet Union. Now it's Russia and Putin. But back in the day, there were two superpowers. And the two superpowers were Soviet Union and good old US of A. And we were like the two big kids on the block, and we knew at some point when two big bullies get together, we're not, bullies is the wrong, two big kids get together, there's going to be a fight, right? But instead of throwing punches, we're going to start throwing nuclear missiles at each other. And so for the longest time, the Soviet Union and the United States were involved in the Cold War, and it could have been anything that would have set it off and destroyed the world. And so, you got that? Okay. There you go. Along comes this president by the name of Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan says, I got a plan. And it's not going to cost any lives. No nuclear missiles. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to outspend the Soviet Union. And he came up with, he increased military spending. Now, if you're the Soviet Union and your enemy is increasing his military presence, what do you have to do? Keep up. That's, you ever hear of the arms race? That's where it came from. And so the Russians said, well, if you're going to start building more submarines, we're going to start building more submarines. Now, fortunately for us, we've got capitalism and the free market on our side. We're far more efficient than planned economies. And so we were able